Wow, I didn't think this was going to take me all day. Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the Beast. I've called this amp the 32 pill I'm built for my buddy Roy. The 32 pill I built for Mr. Jefferson. And this 48 pill I'm getting ready to take on for my other buddy. I call them the Beasts. They cost an awful lot more than the standard 24 pill because they're built in jumbo cabinets. They're built with huge capacitor banks internally. The 48 pill I'm getting ready to drop. I'm trying to talk the guy into letting me put a 500 farad Maxwell supercapacitor on the inside. But what spawned the invention of these amps in my heart was I wanted to see what would happen if I took out all the restrictions that were all in the boxes that I was seeing at the time that were coming across my workbench. So I did this. This is my personal box. I didn't think I'd ever sell this thing, but it's sat on the shelf now for 3 years. I built this amp, and then I quickly followed it up with a 32, and then directly after that I turned around and I built another 32, and then combined them together, and then I built a 64. All based off of this same design. And what I mean by limitations, I mean by current limitations. I wanted to remove from the situation anything that would restrict current being delivered to the transistor. So this predates all of my new transformers and all my new power distribution, but where all of the ideas for the new transformers and the power distribution came from this amp. Now, the reason that we're even having a look at this, because this will be like the third video this amp has been in, is that it is got sold. I pulled it off the shelf, and me and my buddy at Truck CB Sales, Brian Smith, he raffled it off. He's doing these new flash raffles and these daily raffles and these weekly raffles now, and having a lot of success at it. So he would also like me to mention that he is toying with the idea. He has got himself a 24 pill that was built by X-Force. It's an old box that was built when Carl and Carol owned the company. He sent it to me. I went through it top to bottom, changed the tuning on it, and the output power came up. And I mean, it came up. He's thinking about doing his raffling off his 24 pill as well. As you guys know, we sold in 18 hours enough tickets to raffle this amp off. So basically, gone. I'm thinking about getting rid of the 32 and the 64 since I've now converted everything that I own into a 12 volt MOSFET device. I still build these 2879 Toshiba based boxes, but there's way better stuff, and with some of the stuff that's getting ready to come out in this next year, I'm just done. I'm done with this 12 volt style for myself. So I thought, what better thing to do than to raffle it off and let it go find another home. We're using the primary relay here to key the amplifier, as in like this is what does the primary RF keying. To carry the load, I've got this 25 amp relay. Everything in here is way overbuilt. Is it necessary to do some of the things I did inside this box? Absolutely not. But when I put this together, I wanted to go for absolutely zero amperage restriction, either it be on the positive or the ground. You'll see these separate ground distribution points. I mean, this amp, I've taken the heat sinks off. I lapped the heat sinks perfectly flat. I mean, they're idyllically flat. And then I did the same thing with the transistors. I got like 7 million grit sandpaper. I glued it to a piece of glass, and I sat there and I polished the bottom of the transistors so everything is perfectly flat. I mean, I took everything to the extreme. I can't even begin to fathom how much time I have on the inside of this thing fabricating it. It was an experiment. Do I feel that all amps should be built like this? No. Do I feel that there should be some built like this? Yes. I mean, just to date it, it was back when I was buying the fans from Radio Shack. Each one of those fans cost $15.95 a piece back in the day. Ridiculously expensive. Stainless steel bolts. There's dual grounds. and you'll see why here in a minute. This amp fully loaded. We're going to hit this with a completely rebuilt. This is actually, I bought this in parts. I bought this cabinet. I've sold off every single amp I've got over here. 1 pill, 2 pill, 2x4, except for the base or the bench boxes. This is an old cabinet I got from X-Force way back when Carl and Carol owned it. It's for a TNT, but I built this. I built all of this. I just don't ever use it. I had to go in the house, dig around the closet, pull this sucker out of storage, just so I could have it to drive this box. I'm suggesting to the new owner, the winner of this thing, that he hit it with a 2x4. But we're going to drive it all the way out. We're going to put about 1200 watts peak, about 600 bird into it today. And it's going to produce upwards in the area of almost 7,000 watts peak and probably 25 to 2800 bird on 14 volts. Yeah, this whole power distribution thing, I can't even tell you how long it took to build these. There is 1/2 inch wide ground strap that is laced in between it. The wire comes in, goes underneath and back over as my blocking device. That's the only thing I could think of at the time. And then they come down to little distribution bars that are 1 inch wide that go all the way up to the front, and the transformer sits on top of that. Now I have transformers that sit up, and yes, it's got the mirror board technology in it, as you guys can see. These little caps, they were good in the beginning for a start, but now that we've been exposed to the super capacitors, trying to put computer grade capacitors at this low UF count is just kind of pointless. And what I mean, I'll show you here in just a sec. Hold on. This is a brand new Maxwell super capacitor. I'm going to stick into a 16 pill. I'm getting ready to build for a guy. Here in just like, well, I was supposed to start on it this month, but with the weather, man, all build times are out the window. All ETAs are out the window. But all that aside, this is a Maxwell super capacitor. This is a 500 farad. It's 16 volt capacitor. And I'm going to put it on the inside of the cabinet. As you can see, the thing's relatively small. But with the birth of these caps, these super capacitor cells, this little stuff is pointless. That's why I've just completely given up on it, and I've told everybody, just go spend $350 or $400 and buy one of these. Put it external. It's like having the mother of all batteries attached in your system. This thing can dump 500 amps like that, and it takes all the surge out of the electrical system, slows everything down. I do believe the guy that's purchasing this is going to get himself, or didn't purchase, won this in the raffle, is going to get himself one of these for his bank system. So hold on a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to get this out of the way because this is not mine. I don't want it to get scratched or bumped or anything. So hold on a second. So, let's see here. What I have spent my day working on is, it was in this cabinet. And as you can see, this cabinet, when I ended up getting this cabinet in another deal. I built a 32 pill for a guy. He shipped it. I shipped it. It got all smashed in storage or in shipping, and it had to come back here, and I had to re-cabinet it. Well, I repurposed this cabinet for my own personal use. Well, now that somebody else has won it, I can't send it out of here with the cabinet being bent up in the back. Even though this amp's got very little talk time on it, I can't in clear conscience state that the amp is new with it looking awful but ugly like this. So I spent my day taking it out of its cabinet and putting it into a brand new cabinet. Now, I bought this cabinet probably 1.5 years ago, and I've never bothered to change the cabinets out. It's just sat over there on the shelf. So I figured, well, if this thing goes up in raffle the way it did, I was just going to put it in a new cabinet. That way it would be new. There's been several people say, well, my God, why would you ask so much money for a 24 pill? It's not worth it. It is when you see this thing run. This thing is a beast. It's badass. This is also when I was experimenting with different kinds of wire. This wire that's in here is actually silver. It's 98% silver wire. And the Teflon jacket on this is different. It's wrapped, and then it's got a second Teflon coat on it. If you were to cut one of these wires and pull it apart, there's like 1,000 strands in that little tiny wire. Super, super fine. And the wire is so soft. Be very careful when you're working with it. But that's what all the output transformers are wrapped with, is that super high count, about $9 a foot wire that's on the inside of here. So you got to figure each one of these transformers takes about 8 inches. It's about $9, $9, $9, $9, $9. Yeah, same thing the combiner and the splitters are made up with. Yeah. I'm sad to see this one go. I've told the guy that won it, if he ever chooses to sell it, I reserve the right to buy it back. And I will gladly pay him his money, whatever he wants for this thing, and I'll get it back from him. There's a lot of sentimental love. I can't even tell you how many hours went into this box. I don't even want to think about it. I know it took me 2 weeks to build it, working in the weekends. This is back when I lived at the other house, the other shop. I love this amp. Oh well, gotta go. The hardest part of the whole deal was finding the vinyl. If you notice, this has got print vinyl on it. This is actually etched out vinyl. And I put all the stickers back in the same place that were on the original cabinet. So, I mean, it took me an hour and a half to find these little... I knew I had them. I ended up having them in a bag. I just couldn't find them. Because I've changed my logo style. It's no longer that or that. I've changed my logo style quite a bit. I was actually able to find another 24 pill. I couldn't believe it. I remember when I was buying this vinyl from one of my old friends, Jim, his wife. She had a vinyl cutting machine, and she was the one that was doing my vinyl. Now I have my guy down the street do it for me. I said, man, can you print me up like 5 24 pill labels? And she goes, Luke, do you really think you're going to ever build 24 or 5 24 pills? I said, well, I'd like to try. I still had them, so. It is exactly the way the other cabinet was laid out. It is on 32 transistor heatsink. So the heatsink goes from here to here in the amp, which allows for better cooling. As you can see the remnants of the transistor sockets down in here, and they come all the way back to here. And this is parked in the middle. The other thing I did is I went and put eyelets on it so he could mount it up easier. I pressure fit these, like hydraulically crimped them, heat shrinked them, and soldered them. So them puppies are on, and I mean on there. But enough talky talk. God, this thing is just pretty. There's lots of really classic photos running around old Facebook in the inner boob of this thing. I come out with this and everybody's like, oh, it's completely unnecessary. They beat their chest. It's like day before yesterday. Or 3 days ago, I did a little test video of a 3000. I put it up on Facebook. God, what a mistake. Had the plate voltage down to like 4,800 volts in the 3000, and I put like 500 watts in it. And I said in the video like 5 times, I'm just doing a little test. I want to make sure all the circuitry works, like this soft start and the time on timer and the filament. And I wanted to make sure everything run. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to go deliver it the next day. I put the video out, and it was just a live feed. And so I get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. I load everything in the truck, take off to go deliver it to the customer. I get home, and here is a mountain of comments, which I found hilarious. That 3000's not working right. Blah, 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 blah. See, what I failed to show on the video was that I shut everything off, pulled the power supply apart, went to the highest tap on the transformer, went up to, 6,800 volts, 7,000 volts on the thing, and at 500 watts input, it builds 6,500 and something watts worth of bird. Same thing happened with this box when I first came out. Nobody understood what I was trying to do. I was building it for myself, wasn't building it for a customer. Well, now it's going out and it's going to a raffle winner. So I made sure everything was right. I spent most of the afternoon, like I said, I started working on this at about 1 this afternoon. New cabinets, new fan guards. I personally find, hold on, let me put the lid on this thing. I'll keep talking here. Let me put the lid on. I personally find these fan guards ugly as frig. I mean, they're just ugly as all get out to me, in my mind. So, because this is my personal amp, I didn't have to worry about anybody sticking their finger in it. Okay? So, what I'd done is on the back side of this, I took stainless steel window screen for like a, screen door, or a window screen, and I mounted it to the inside of the lid. Once again, this is now going out into the world. So on this new lid, I scraped all that stuff off. The other reason is that the guy that owns this now asked me if I would also sell him the cabinet that this came in originally, the repurposed one, because he wants to turn it into a power supply. Because let's face it, when this thing's facing up against the wall, you don't see the ass end of the box, which is all perfectly pristine, by the way. You don't see the back end of the box. He's like, well, can you just... I said, yeah, for like $75, I'll give you the cabinet. No big deal, just pay the shipping. So I scraped all that off. It's all clean and virgin on the inside. I had screen in here. Because like I said, I think these guards are ugly as frig. But the problem was, every time I pulled the box out and showed it to somebody and we plugged it in and turned it on, it was like a moth to a flame. Every one of my buddies was like trying to stick their finger down. They put it on a fan. And I'm like, don't do that. Why not? Well, you're going to stretch out the screen that's in there. Oh. I sit there with a dental pick and pull it up. I didn't want my customer to have to go through that. So I went ahead and I did a modernization to it. This has got the neodymium magnetic screen filters in it that I put in there. If you can see, there's a magnetic, really fine, super mesh magnetic filter screen that's on there. And I'm putting these on everything now. These are friggin' nice. The guards are a must, unfortunately. They stop the retard that's in everyone. Because if I was to send it out here with just the screen, everybody would stick their finger in it, and once it gets a little bend in it, it rubs on the fan, and you turn the amp on, it goes, it gets annoying as hell, and you want to shoot the box. So let's go around the lap here real quick. We've got a 5 kW slug. That's right, 5K. We're going to run it in 1X. We have a 10 kW slug in average, and you'll understand why in a minute. 100 watt slug in reverse, back from the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. And a whole whopping 50 watt slug between the 6-pill driver and the amp to represent input tune. We've got the Fluke clamp over amp ring, which now we got to turn on. Let's go to DC. We're going to 0 it. We'll turn on the light to make it easy for everybody to read. Okay, so I'll show you what we're going to put into it for drive. We're going to use the Connex, by the way, my Connex 4400, to drive the 6-pill. Let's grab the microphone. Hello. Hello. I'm going to get a pretty strong 1,000 watts out of this guy. Make sure I got my voltage up right. I sure do. Hello. Hello. 50 watt slug. Hello. Almost no reflect talking through the box. Now watch what happens here. I gotta reach down here. Turn on a bench 600 amp power supply. Hello. Hello. Audio. Now that's 2400 Bird going forward. And we're losing this thing off into Netherland. It's just taking off and going to the stop. Hello. And it's burying it real hard. So we're going to take it to the 2X position. Let me turn this off so I can explain this to everybody. In the 2X position, full deflection is 10,000 watts peak. Between the 40 and the 60 is this hash mark, right friggin' there. See that? That's a 5,000 watt mark. We're going to end up over here someplace. We're really not hitting this thing too awful hard. As you know, we're only putting about 1,000 peak watts, so about 500 Bird in it. So if we had a 2x6 that was running into that 6, you know, instead of that straight 6, had a 2x6 hitting it, we'd see even more watts. When I ran this thing in my truck, I would see about 7,000 out of it PEP and about 3,000 Bird, and it ran like that for a while. But like I said, I very quickly moved on, and and went on to a 32. And then the thing just sat on the shelf. See, I don't have the lid screwed down all the way, and it's telling me if I Kind of light ground connection on that screw. Okay. I don't have all the screws in the cabinet. That's in 2X, right? Check this out. Hello. 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 Audio. So 3,000 bird. Yep, because we're reading that bottom scale. The 20 is 2. 40 is 4. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Now, if you think that I'm lying on the peak meter and the multiplier is a liar, you reach down here, you see this little button I'm hitting here? That's a Bird PEP kit. That's a 10 kW slug. Check this out. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. I can already hear everybody saying, but BBI, you're not dead keying anything. Hello, hello. That's a 4,000 watt dead mall with a 24 pill. Now what I just did is tripped out my power supply. See that? Oh. Let's turn this back on. Because everything is so overbuilt in this box, you can go higher with the dead key and you don't have to worry about heat dissipation. And you don't have to worry about amperage constraint. Now right now the amp at idle is pulling 2 amps worth of current through this one piece of watt gauge. Let's turn our dead key down. Dead key in about $2,000. Hello. Let's run our dead key down even more. Almost nothing. 30 amps a carrier, right? Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Just popped a breaker again. 470 amps is the highest number I just seen. Let's reset our breakers once again. And this thing is a beast. I love this box. Let me show you the input tune here real quick. Hello. That's with 1200 peak watts going in on a 50 watt slug. So let's see, what is that? About 4.5 watts input reflect. Hello. About 4.5 watts of input reflect from the 6 pill into the 30, into the 24, almost 7,000 peak watts out, 3,000 bird, on about 14.5 volts. The customer states to me he's going to run it on 15. So our combined amperage between this and the 6 pill, which is going to be metered here, hello, audio, is going to be a scoosh over 500 amps. 600 amps. Let's see, scooch over 600. So now you know, brother. Man, congratulations, by the way. The beast is now yours. I'm going to take this thing over tomorrow. We'll get her packed up at the UPS store, and I'll get her sent off to you. I'm going to let it sit here and run, continue to bleed the heat out of the cabinet. But there is nothing wrong with this box. It is a raped animal. Beginning to end, front to back, side to side. This thing transmits. Like I said, Brian Smith, he's got himself a 24 pill X-Force that I prepped and redid. And the numbers he's getting out of that box are pretty close to this, believe it or not. And that thing runs Runs hard. I mean, it runs hard. So you guys be looking out for that raffle. It's coming up in the Truck CB Sales group on Facebook. The second largest CB group with actual real CBers in it and not a bunch of troll accounts on Facebook. Guys, my name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. I appreciate you all watching. If you enjoyed what you've seen, click the subscribe button on this side of the screen, just down here below it, or click over here and follow. That way you get the nifty little notification that says BBI just put another video up on YouTube. Come watch it. I appreciate your all support. Look, guys, I'm not out here to be the #1 expert, biggest, baddest, whatever. I'm out here to have fun. I'm out here to help you. I'm out here to help the average Joe get his stuff running and have fun with it. And I'm not out here to talk smack about another builder. I guess some builder out there just today left some nasty, stupid, tear down video on me. When are they going to understand? When they do stuff like that, people see right through it and they understand all they're trying to do is bolster their own business. And I end up getting a whirlwind from it. I get the good stuff. I got 3 new customers today from one guy talking a smack video about me. So all the haters out there, I say, I appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Guys, I gotta go. From your friend in Idaho, BBI. I'll see you. Bye-bye.